Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and this is the first video in a new campaign I'll be doing in the game of Frostgrave. In this series, I'll be playing through the scenarios found in the Dark Alchemy and then the Perilous Dark expansions. This video will feature the Alchemical Monstrosity scenario. Be sure to check the details below for a link to the introductory video for this campaign. In that, I discuss the house rules and the optional rules that I'll be using throughout the 13 scenarios for this campaign. Also in the details, you'll see links to some of our other Frostgrave content, and you'll also find timestamps for this video in case you want to jump ahead or behind. And I will say that the start of this video contains a bit more dialogue than you'll find in the subsequent videos for this campaign. Before we get to the battle, I will be discussing the rules specific to the 3 Dark Alchemy scenarios. I'll be showing you my wizard and his warband and explaining their backstory. And I will explain how the Alchemical Monstrosity scenario works. Although the introductory video gave some general rules for the overall campaign, there are a few rules that are unique to the Dark Alchemy campaign. The first is the campaign has an option for single player or cooperative play, and I'm gonna just be playing solo with just one warband. So I will be using the single player rules for these 3 scenarios. Other rules unique while playing these 3 Dark Alchemy scenarios are, even though a warband is created as normal, only 1 spellcaster, wizard or apprentice, and 3 soldiers can be brought into each battle, though these can be swapped out between scenarios. Soldiers that fall in combat but live through their survival roll cannot be selected for another scenario, except for wizards, which can return but with only 10 health. And spellcasters and captains each get 1 reroll on the survival table they can use during these scenarios. Out-of-game spells are limited to just Animal Companion and Familiar being cast before the first scenario only, and Restore Life being cast between the scenarios. No other spells can be cast before or after any of these scenarios. There are a number of changes to treasure to represent being in the alchemical factory and picking up small bits of treasure rather than piles of loot. Carrying treasure does not cause a -1 move or -1 fight penalty. Members can carry multiple tokens at once. These grant the wizard only 25 experience points instead of the usual 50. A special treasure table is used for all treasure rolls, and picking up treasure will never trigger a random monster encounter. Also, instead of tokens following the members around, I've decided to have treasure chests on the board that can just be opened, and then I will just mark on the wizard sheet who is carrying treasure. Any magical things found can be used, equipped, or stored in your vault as normal. However, nothing can be sold and nothing can be purchased between these scenarios. Soldiers in this game are technically recruited, not purchased, but since I believe it was the author's intent, no soldiers will be hired until the 3 scenarios are over. And so now I will introduce you to my wizard and to his warband. Irvathon the Enchanter comes from a people known for their skills in archery. Although he learned these skills, once he was grown, he left his village to study magic. During his training, he learned of a wizard who could craft powerful magical arrows, and Irvathon made it his mission to learn this skill. His search brought him to a man named Jadis, an archer who had traveled with and learned from the arrow crafting wizard. Seeing Irvathon's desire not for power, but for exploration and adventure, Jadis decided to train Irvathon, and in the process, Irvathon taught Jadis a lot about magic. The process of making the magic arrows takes a certain kind of chemical and magical mixture, and the 2 new friends were running out of it. However, they heard rumors of a thawing alchemical factory that once produced this substance. As Jadis prepared their makeshift workshop, Irvathon grabbed the arrows they had made, hired a team of mercenaries, and headed to the alchemical factory. Instead of just giving my spellcasters a list of functional spells, I wanted to have a reason behind all the spells that they know. And to do this, I have changed the names of a few spells, though they'll still function just like the official spell they're based off of. As enchanters, to represent their ability to instill magic energy into inanimate objects and to living things, they have the spells Enchant Weapon, Embed Enchantment, Strength, Brew Potion, and Write Scroll. They know Reveal Secret, representing their ability to sense magic flowing from items. And their two spells that I've renamed are, instead of Raise Zombie, they cast Animated Soldier, where they can magically gather things from the battlefield to form a soldier that has the stats of a zombie. And instead of Elemental Bolt, they have Enchanted Arrow. Looking at my spellcasters, I represent them with quivers, and sometimes I'll have them holding bows. As far as game mechanics are concerned, they aren't actually carrying a bow, as that fills up an item slot. But for story purposes, instead of just simply casting a lightning bolt, they're actually firing a magical arrow from a bow, which I think will make what can be a generic or overused spell a little more interesting for the story. For their warband, Irvathon has hired a treasure hunter, 2 archers, an infantryman, 2 thugs, and 2 warhounds. And with their remaining gold crowns, both spellcasters have purchased daggers to go along with hand weapons to increase their fight stat by +1. Irvathon's debut into the Frozen City will be against the Alchemical Monstrosity scenario. The setup for this scenario calls for a 2-foot by 2-foot board with 4 treasure tokens scattered about. There will be 2 doors placed on the corners farthest from the deployment zone, one of which will be the exit point. A rat hole that could be spawning giant rats will be located on the back wall. And in the middle of the board, out of line of sight from the warband, is the Alchemical Monstrosity. In this case, a Lord of the Rings cave troll with reversed arms and Star Wars Sarlacc tentacles replacing its hands. It had taken hours to force an entrance into the old alchemical factory, but finally the warband managed it. The first few rooms revealed little of interest, but as they entered a large open room, they heard a crash somewhere deep inside the factory. The explosion rocked the old building, destroying walls and collapsing part of the roof above them. When the dust settled, the warband realized their entry point was cut off with piles of rock and debris, and Irvathon and a few of his men were separated from the rest of their warband. When they thought things couldn't get worse, they heard a deep, frightening screech from behind a half-destroyed wall, followed by what sounded like something climbing out from beneath the newly fallen rubble. And they realized the explosion had woken something. So the board is all set up. The scenario calls for a 2-foot by 2-foot board. My board is 24 movement units by 24 movement units. And that's because I use my special Lego themed movement system. So it's still to scale just slightly. The scale is just slightly larger than standard. We have the vicious Alchemical Monstrosity right there in the middle of the board. Over here we have the rat hole. And we've got our 2 doors down there on each side. The party, when they get to the first door that they come to, they roll a die on a 15 plus. It's the right door, otherwise it's the other door. We have our treasures around the board, 1 there, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 over here. And the warband is over here. Their way is blocked out of here by that rubble. And we have the only 4 members that managed to get in here, which is the wizard, Irvathon the enchanter, with his treasure hunter, his man-at-arms, and his archer. In a 2-player co-op run-through of this scenario, 2 giant rats also start on the board, but in a single-player game, none start. Normally, Irvathon would have a number of out-of-game spells he could cast, but the special rules for the Dark Alchemy campaign state that only Animal Companion and Familiar can be cast at the start of a campaign, and only Restore Life can be cast between scenarios, so he won't be casting any. For this scenario, my warband will be the white die, and the enemy will be the green die. This might switch up between scenarios, but this will stay constant for this scenario. When I roll my first initiative, if this is below a 7, then the Alchemical Monstrosity will activate after the wizard phase, and I will be putting one of those giant rats right down there in front of that rat hole. So rolling initiative for the first round, 20. All right, so no rat and no quick activation for that Alchemical Monstrosity. Instead of just trying to run through and get to the escape door, Irvathon and his men are going to attempt to defeat the Alchemical Monstrosity. One thing they have to keep in mind is if they get within 3 inches of this creature without moving all the way into combat, it will do a shooting attack against them. So if they get up close, they'll want to just go ahead and fight it. So to start out the battle, Irvathon will just move up here by this wall. And from there he is going to cast Enchanted Soldier, which is his equivalent of Raise Zombie. He casts on a 12, 16. That is successful. And with that spell, since it isn't just simply a zombie, I'm playing that he ends up enchanting something that's around the battlefield. So we see all these skeletons laying about. So we'll say that there's some bones around him, and he brings those to life to be kind of a weak little soldier here. For the soldier phase, this Enchanted Soldier will just walk over here. This archer will move up to there. The man-at-arms move to there. And the treasure hunter will move to right there. For the monster phase, when a monster is called to make a random move, it instead moves towards one of the 2 doors. So we'll do odd and even. 8. So even will make it go towards that door. 5 movement units puts it right over here. From there it can see my archer, so he will move, it'll move 2.5 inches that way. Okay. Next round initiative. 2. Oh, that's not good. That means a rat spawns and the monster is going to go before my soldier phase. So one little rat pops up right here. Unfortunately, the archer is not within 3 inches of Irvathon, so Irvathon will activate with the other 3 soldiers here, and he will start by running out here, making sure he's not within 3 inches of that Alchemical Monstrosity. He is going to attempt an Enchanted Arrow, otherwise known as an Elemental Bolt. He casts on a 14. 18, success. So that is a +8 shooting attack against this thing. +8 against +4. 18 against 5, so that is successful. It has 13 armor, so it takes 5 damage. Then his soldiers will go. We'll start by having the Enchanted Soldier do a double move. Now, since he can't get quite into combat with a single move, that means that the Alchemical Monstrosity makes an immediate shooting attack, +0 shooting attack against it. +0 shooting attack against +0 fight for my Enchanted Soldier. Alright, that is a 9. He has an armor of 12, so no damage to my soldier. He will use his second action to move into combat. And he is within 7 movement units of this treasure hunter, so the treasure hunter will run up there. And then with the support of the Enchanted Soldier will attack. +6 for me, +4 for the monstrosity. Uh-oh. 20. That is 9 damage on the treasure hunter. Seeing his friend get injured, this infantryman will run up and he can get into combat on 6 movement units. And he will attack with his 2-handed weapon. With all the support, he has a total of +7 against +4. Ooh, normally that would be a critical hit, but Special rules say that the Alchemical Monstrosity cannot be hit with a critical hit. So that's just a 20, but he has +7 to that. So that is a total of 27. And that was against a total of 21. So the creature has an armor of 13, so that's normally would be 14 damage, but the infantryman has his two-handed axe, that's +2 damage, so that's 16 damage to the Alchemical Monstrosity, and it goes down. So that thing didn't end up putting up too much of a fight. So normally that would have gone right now, but it is dead. So we go to soldier phase, which will be my archer. And since there's only rats left, he's going to double move over to here, so we can start making a play for that treasure chest. The rat down there cannot see any members of the warband, so let's see, random direction, random door, odd, even. Alright, goes to the left door. Alright, move of 6, we'll get it right over to here. So from there it can technically draw a line of sight to Irvathon, but the special rules state that there's actually only 16 inches of line of sight in this scenario, so you can't see him through all the, I'm guessing, dust and everything from the explosion. So instead it will just continue its move over towards this door. Rolling initiative for the next round. This can't do anything to the Alchemical Monstrosity, but it could spawn another rat. Nope. For this round, Irvathon will activate by himself, and he will cast Enchant Weapon on the archer's bow. He casts on an 8. Failure, he'll go ahead and empower that for 3. He will then move 6 inches this way. Now for the soldier phase, this infantryman will run over here, and he will open up that treasure. We'll actually open it to show that it's been opened. It looks like my son put a coin in that one. The treasure hunter will do a double move past this fallen creature over to here. The zombie will do a double move right up against that treasure, the enchanted soldier, I suppose. My plan was to have this archer find a shot at that rat, but doesn't really have a decent one, so he can actually move 6 units right into contact with that treasure chest. He'll open this. And my son put a gold cup in that one. For the monster phase, this treasure hunter is too far away for the rat to draw a line of sight. So see, he moves to odd or even. Moves to the current door, second move will be away from it. So it'll move all the way up into contact with it, but then 3 inches away towards the other one. Rolling initiative. Alright, no giant rat spawns this turn. And Irvathon wants to try out one of these other enchanted arrows, so he will move a little bit so that he will be within 16 move units, and he will fire an enchanted arrow at that rat. On a 14. 3. Failure by 11. He will let that fail. He takes 2 points of damage. For soldier phase, this treasure hunter will run over here and take a look behind that door. On a 15 or higher, that's the correct door. Nope. So the warband needs to flee through that door. Carrying treasure does not encumber soldiers for the Dark Alchemy scenario, so he will double move 9 over to right here. This enchanted soldier will open up the last treasure chest and find another gold coin, and then he will move 4 inches this way. To right there. This archer here will climb over all this rubble to get to right there. And from there he will take a shot at the rat. Shot +2, rat is fight +0, but the archer moved, so +1 for the rat. And that arrow misses that rat. The archer actually had an additional +1 because of the enchant weapon, but it still failed. For the monster phase, this rat is about 7 units to the enchanted soldier and also about 7 units to the archer, so we'll roll randomly. We'll do odd, even. Odd, he'll come after the archer. Being 7 movement units away, he can do a single move and then snap into combat. +2 for the archer, +0 for the rat. Oh, the rat hits, bites him for 4 points of damage. Next round, we'll roll initiative. 6, that's below 8, so another rat appears. And it pops up right there. For Irvathon, he will activate by himself and move 6 units over to here. And from there, he will cast Strength on the archer. Cast on a 10. 13, success. For soldier phase, we'll start by having this archer who's now invigorated with that strength. He'll attack this rat. +4 against +0. Uh-oh. 5 against 16. He takes 5 more points of damage. And this archer is down to 1. Over here, this treasure hunter on a double move can go just far enough to get into combat with that rat. Then, since this skeletal enchanted soldier is expendable, well, he has to move over rough terrain, so he will just double move into combat. And now this infantryman is within 6 units. So he'll run over here and smash that thing with his axe. Supported by 2 figures, so +7 against +0. 20. That is enough to kill a rat with 1 hit point. So that giant rat goes down. Now it is the soldier phase. We'll have this rat attack the archer. This could be bad. The archer is +4 against +0. 20 against 0. Okay, he gets his revenge. Even though his dagger causes -1 damage, that rat is very dead. He stabs it. Earlier I had said we'd grab the last treasure, but there's still 1 treasure token out there. Next round, we'll roll initiative. 11. No rat appears. To start out, Irvathon will do a double move to right there. This archer will do a double move up to the door. He has to use an action to open the door and walk through. This treasure hunter, since he doesn't have a treasure yet, he will run over here. And open this. Another gold coin. The enchanted soldier will double move to here. The infantryman will double move to here. And that's the end of this round. Initiative. No giant rat appears. So the treasure hunter can't quite get to this door in 1 action, so it can't walk through it. Everybody else could, but I don't want to leave him. Well, actually, the skeleton that's carrying a treasure couldn't either, and he needs to get off the board. So we'll just have everybody huddle over here. I know that's kind of out of order. The wizard should have moved first, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I'm not going to spam any spells with him. Next round to see if another rat appears. It does. So that rat appears. This could just kind of go on forever. I could just sit here and rack up experience, but that would probably be pretty boring. So we'll let that rat live, feast on the Alchemical Monstrosity or something. And the rest, this warband will run through here, securing all 4 treasures, and having defeated the Alchemical Monstrosity and 2 giant rats. So even though their treasure hunter took a pretty good hit from the Alchemical Monstrosity, and the archer almost got eaten to death by a giant rat, they had no casualties except for the enchanted skeleton that just turns into a pile of bones at the end of the scenario. So they retrieved 4 treasures. Let's see what they get. 8, 10, 15, and 15. And these are rolled on the Dark Alchemy treasure table. 8 is 35 gold crowns and a potion. 10 is 20 gold crowns and a scroll. And 15 is 3 potions, which they got twice. So altogether they found 7 potions. So let's roll all of these. 4, 9, 11, 12, 16, 16, and 19. 4 is an elixir of speed. 9 is a cordial of clear sight. 11 is a filter of fury. 12 is a potion of iron mind. The 2 16s are potions of fire breath. And then 19 is a roll on the greater potion table. Let's see what we get here. 12. 12 is a bottle of darkness. And they found 1 scroll. This will be to determine which column we use, and this will be which number. Column 4, number 17, is a scroll of illusionary soldier. That could come in handy. So they found a pile of potions, the 1 scroll, and they recovered 55 gold crowns. For experience points, they secured 4 treasures at 25 gold crowns each for 100. They defeated 2 rats for 10 total. They defeated the Alchemical Monstrosity for 30. Irvathon made it through the door, which granted him 30 experience. And he successfully cast 4 spells for 40. Now, since these scenarios came out before the Maze of Malcor, which awards experience points for failed spells that cause damage, I'm not awarding any experience points for the 1 failed spell. So altogether, he gets 210 experience points and passes 2 levels. Well, my small team seemed to do pretty well in that scenario. Even though most of my spells have a greater than 50% chance of failure, I was still able to cast 4 of them. And by casting that animated soldier, it really helped having an extra body on the table. And also the support that it added in combat allowed my infantryman to get just enough extra attack power to kill that alchemical monstrosity. As a strategy tip, I would recommend going aggressive in this scenario by charging your warband after the alchemical monstrosity. If you kill it, you get 30 bonus experience, which is good. And also if you go in trying to avoid the thing, there's a good chance it's going to corner 1 or maybe 2 of your soldiers by themselves and be able to take them out pretty well. So if you can bring a ranged soldier to maybe weaken the monstrosity first and then charge everybody in, that worked really well for me anyway to have all that support in combat. Let me know in the comments below what strategies you've used and what your experiences have been with this scenario. At the start of my next video, I'll be showing what Irvathon is doing as far as leveling up with the 2 levels he gained and what he's going to do with all those potions that he found. So be sure to check out the next video, which will be the Skeletal Run. We want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to add a like or a comment below, or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content we're releasing. And with that, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and we'll see you on the next video.